happy with a win, Matt.
Yeah, I guess. I think you do have to be happy, but there's a lot to digest. There's a lot to analyze, and we'll be doing it for the next hour here on Cougar Nation. Mitch mentioned the phone line. If you want to text us, you can do that too, 57500. And for those of you on the live stream, YouTube, we got video for you, baby. You can comment as well, and we'll get to those comments as they come in on the YouTube stream. But, Mitch, let's start things off with our takeaways from the 18-15 win.
Cougar Nation takeaways. Mitch and Matt analyze BYU's last week of play and what it means for the next week.
All right, our takeaways. Gosh, it's hard to summarize it in just a couple. There were so many takeaways. But my biggest takeaway, Mitch, was that defensive performance was a Mount Rushmore-type performance during the Kalani Sitake era. I'm having a hard time thinking of three better defensive performances than that. You get multiple turnovers, multiple red zone turnovers, and that performance gives you hope that regardless of what the offense does, that you can exceed expectations because they were so good getting after the quarterback, creating turnovers. That was a defensive gem, and that's something to be encouraged about going forward.
I loved seeing the defensive success for BYU. It was great to see because you're right. This was one of the best performances we've seen from a Kalani Sitake coach team on the defensive side of the ball, and to hold SMU to no touchdowns on their home field was an impressive feat. Now, the stat about SMU scoring 54 points per game and that 9-game home winning streak, that was a little bit overblown because this SMU team is not as high-powered offensively. They're just not. I know they got good personnel, but I'm telling you, what we've seen from that group, they're not what they've been in the past, but still, you don't take away this moment, this stage for this BYU team that's still trying to find its identity and piece that together on the field and prove it in actual games. Huge win for this team. And BYU's defense, I think the execution was great. They just look fast, too. I was talking to Tanner Wall today in the press conference, and I asked him about, that speed that they're showing. And I just feel like this team, their understanding of the playbook, what Jay Hill wants out of this defense, it's allowing them to be, highlighting their instincts rather than overthinking it. They're just playing loose, and they don't have the weight of the world on their shoulders. BYU as an underdog is always a great spot, and that defense just kind of embodies that, how loose they're playing right now.
It wasn't all sunshine and roses, though, from the 18-15 win, and one aspect of the game that's really weighed me down since Friday night, Mitch, this is another takeaway of mine, that third down offense was putrid. 2 of 13. That's not going to win you many games in the Big 12, if at all. That right now they're ranked 100th in third down conversion percentage. That's bad. That's really bad football, Mitch. And in that second half alone, they had 4 3-and-outs. They actually had 5, but the last one was, kneeling the time away, so I'm not going to penalize them for that. But 4 3-and-outs in the second half alone. I don't care who the quarterback is. I don't care who the running backs are. If you cannot sustain drives, if you cannot have time of possession, it's going to be very difficult to win football games. Now, thank goodness the defense came to play. Thank goodness the defensive havoc was where it needed to be. And thank goodness that the defensive secondary was able to produce red zone turnovers to give the ball back to BYU's O. But if this is what the offense is going to be going forward, I'm having a hard time dreaming about a bowl game this winter, quite frankly. And so it's got to be better.
It does have to be better. And my second takeaway is that the quarterback position has to improve. It regressed in week 2. And I give Jake credit for ultimately getting enough done on the offensive side to put BYU in a position to win that ball game. That 4th and inches play call where they option pitch to Miles Davis, it worked. And Jake deserves credit for calling the audible into that play call and making that play work. But the execution, how he performed, his decision-making, it leaves much to be desired.
Yep.
And it leaves you feeling like this BYU defense is good enough, clearly, to get you to a bowl game. Them alone, they could probably put this team in a position, I don't want to say, this extreme, but maybe Iowa-like, where it can work, where you can be a defensive team and win ball games. That's not BYU's DNA, but and it's not the ideal route, in my opinion. But this defense, I feel, is good enough where they're going to be they're going to be they're going to be solid this whole year. But the quarterback position has got to get better. And if the quarterback position has some success, maybe this team could be an 8-win team, maybe 9. Like, you're looking at this schedule in the month of September. Are you afraid of Baylor and Kansas State and Wyoming? I'm honestly not. Kansas State looked very underwhelming against Tulane. Late night game in Provo. BYU was great in those spots. Why can't BYU start 5-0? Well, they might not, because the quarterback play is going to cost them eventually in some of these games, and you got to get that right. And, that's where a lot of our conversation tonight centers around. What Cougar Nation do you need to see from Jake Retzlaff this week to feel good about him going forward and this quarterback play? Let's get out to the phone line, 801-575-8255. Andy from South Jordan, you want to weigh in on Jake Retzlaff?
Andy?
I think we've seen – can you hear me?
Yep, we got you.
Okay. I think we've seen strokes of brilliance from Retzlaff, including in the last 2 games last season, even though they were losses. I think he showed some great potential, and I don't want to say we've seen the best of him yet. But I was kind of wanting to pose a question of, would it be smart to play Bohannon, not to take away from Retzlaff, because I think even these tougher games are great learning lessons for him, like to not throw a ball when you're getting tackled. Seemed to be 2 interceptions. His 2 interceptions were kind of in those kind of moments, but would it be smart to play Bohannon where he hasn't played a snap of football in a long time? Would we – I don't think we'd want to play him cold going into the Big 12. Would we? I don't know. I think it would be smart to get some good game reps, some passing, some actual driving the ball down the field from Bohannon so we have a good feel of our quarterbacks. I don't know.
Thanks for the call, Andy. Appreciate it. It's an interesting debate to have. Did Jake do enough to keep being the quarterback, or do you want to see what you have from Gary? To me, it is hard to tell someone that's 2-0 and engineered a game-winning drive that you're losing your job. So I think from my perspective, you got to start with Jake.
Yeah.
But if there's another costly turnover, I do want to see Gary. I think every season is becoming more and more precious because of the money and the expectations and everything that goes into college football. You got to win now. Coaches have to win now. Aaron Roderick's talked about this. We don't look at the future. We look at the now. And if Jake is not going to be able to perform at a high level, you do need to see what you have in Gary. I'm not worried about throwing him in there cold. He's a vet. He's played in a lot of college football games. He's won some big college football games. And if this is what you're going to keep getting from Jake, Mitch, 2 turnovers a game, you have to find out what Gary can do.
This was Kalani Sitake on Jake Retzlaff and how they still feel about him going forward.
Yeah, we felt good about him and as our quarterback. We have to be able to find a way to fight through it, and it's hard to play the game when you're just taken out if mistakes happen. We knew that mistakes happen in football. We got to rally around guys and allow them the chance to redeem themselves.
And he's got another chance this week, and I fully expect that Jake Retzlaff will be that first quarterback to take the snap against Wyoming, but if he has disastrous mistakes, I feel like there's got to be this understanding that it's okay for 1 week to plug in Gary Bohannon. Let's just say, Jake Retzlaff is your permanent starter unless it just gets, bad play after bad play. If Jake Retzlaff is a starter, it's okay just for one game, like he doesn't have it one day, and go to Gary Bohannon and then reset the deck and have him compete the following week. And I bring that up because last year, Kalani Sitake said in the month of November when Keaton Slovis, there was a case of, is he going to play? Is he still banged up? It was always, they got to compete in practice. They got to win their job every single week. Every day in practice, you got to win your job. And I feel like that should be applied here for Jake, that, okay, yes, he's the starter right now. You got to continue to win it every single day. And if you don't win on those game days, and if you have mistakes, don't be afraid to go put in Bohannon. And look, it could be a situation, Matt, where Jake is the best quarterback that they've got. It really could be the case.
Totally.
That could be the case here. But I think there's still this kind of wondering of, what do you got in Bohannon? You clearly liked him enough that you wanted to bring him in. If there's some big mistakes again, don't be afraid to go to it for one game.
Not all mistakes are equal, Mitch, in sports, and not all mistakes in life are equal, right? There's a varying degree of, okay, that was a little mistake. Learn from that and get better. Then there's you don't hand the ball off in time on the jet sweep, then it becomes a broken play, and then you don't take care of the football, and it's a turnover. That's not the same as you're running a screen pass and the defensive tackle is on the ground when you make the read, and then when the ball's out of your hand, he pops up and make a play. Those are both mistakes, but one is very different from the other. And so we can't keep having you're getting tackled and you throw the ball like a muffed punt and that becomes a turnover. If that happens again, we can't just say, learn from that, Jake. We can't keep, there's been too many of those type of mistakes. And so for me, to answer the question, and you can answer it as well here on the show because this is for you, Cougar Nation, 801-575-8255. What do you need to see from Retzlaff this week to feel good about him going forward? I need to see a first-half line of 200-plus yards, 2 touchdowns, and no turnovers. And if he does that and blows Wyoming away like they should because they're a bad football team, quite frankly, if he does that, then okay, you can keep being the quarterback going forward. But if it's a mixed bag in the first half against Wyoming, I want to see Gary because you have to find out if Jake is the best quarterback or not, to your point.
Cougar Nation brought to you by Central Bank. Central Bank, 133 years of trusted banking service, modern technology, and fast lending decisions. Cougar Nation, Central Bank, proud sponsor of Cougar Nation here on KSL News Radio. Taking a break on the other side, we'll get to helmet stickers from the win over SMU. We'll also preview the matchup against Wyoming and take more of your phone calls, 801-575-8255. It's Cougar Nation here on KSL News Radio.
The game of football is about pain. Ever since I was 5 years old, it's been all about football. It's been about running, jumping, blocking, tackling. I stopped playing at 31.
You're listening to Michael Robinson, retired pro fullback.
I thought that foot pain was going to be with me for the rest of my life. I'm so glad I met Good Feet. I'm so glad that those arch supports are in my shoes. I have terrible foot issues that prevented me from really having a normal life with my kids. With the Good Feet arch supports, man, I'm always ready. My kids actually got to enjoy me in the yard more, racing each other, backpedaling, teaching them some things, being a dad. If I had known about the Good Feet arch support earlier, I would have more than one championship. I would have 2 championship rings.
See what we can do for you with a free personalized arch support fitting at the Good Feet store.
The Good Feet store. Call 1-800-NEW-FEET or visit goodfeet.com.
There's a lot on the line this election. Your vote is your way to make your voice heard. Based on polling from AARP, Americans 50 and over decide elections. That means you have the power to make the candidates listen and take action on what matters to you. Things like protecting the Social Security you've worked hard for and making sure family caregivers get the support they need. But you have to cast your vote to have your say. That's why AARP Utah has created an election guide with the most up-to-date information about when, where, and how to vote. You can find out about all the key voting deadlines, changes to polling places, and how to cast your ballot. Make sure the candidates hear from you. Get trusted, up-to-date election information at aarp.org/UT-votes. That's aarp.org/UT-votes. Paid for by AARP.
Welcome to Staples.
Hi, I need a printer for the office.
Staples has the best brands, like HP.
Well, I have some demands.
Oh.
Burton Sales demands it be fast.
HP's Office Jet Pro is super fast.
Megan Marketing demands color prints.
Check.
And Kurt the Controller demands I don't overpay.
With Staples hot deals, you get up to 40% off select HP printers.
Oh, great. My job can be...
demanding?
I was gonna say a lot of fun.
Right now at Staples, save up to 40% on select HP printers, America's most trusted printer brand. Ends 9/28.
Hello? Hey, it's Ted from Consumer Cellular, the guy in the orange sweater, and this is your wake-up call. Did you know we've got you fully covered?
I've taken up beekeeping. I'm always covered.
I'm talking the same fast, reliable nationwide coverage at up to half the cost.
Same honey, half the work?
Exactly.
Sweet.
Just call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit ConsumerCellular.com.
Savings based on cost of consumer cellular single line 1, 5, and 10 gig data plans with unlimited talk and text compared to lowest cost single line postpaid unlimited talk, text, and data plans offered by T-Mobile and Verizon January 2024.
Life can feel hard or overwhelming sometimes, but you don't have to face things alone. Getting help for yourself or someone you're worried about starts with a call or text to 988, where you always have someone to talk to, someone to help you, and somewhere safe to go. 988 Utah is here for anyone experiencing mental health challenges or emotional distress. 988 Utah can even help you navigate how to support your struggling loved ones. Whether you're struggling with anxiety, depression, or suicidal thoughts, trained professionals are ready to listen and provide free, confidential support 24/7. Utah, don't hesitate to call or text 988 for you or someone you care about. The caring staff at 988 Utah can connect you to the right resources. Learn more at 988lifeline.org.
How many things affect your life as much as slow traffic and bad weather? Listen tomorrow morning for Traffic and Weather Together every 10 minutes on the 9s on KSL News Radio.
Cougar Nation, it's Matt Baiamonte and Mitch Harper. We're taking your calls, 801-575-8255. What do you need to see from Jake Retzlaff this week against Wyoming to feel good about him going forward? In just a moment, we'll give out some helmet stickers from the win, but right now let's go down to hot, desert-like St. George, Utah, where Spencer wants to give us his thoughts on Jake going forward. Spencer, how you doing, and what do you think of Jake Retzlaff?
Hey, guys, thanks. I'm doing good. Jake was a little frustrating, especially that play where he was getting sacked and threw that bad pick.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's a given. It's a bad play. But, I don't put it all on him. Like, Aaron Roderick's play calling in this one, like a lot of people like to talk about, was, he always throws in a couple jet sweeps. That's a given. And he kept throwing those little swing passes out to the edge and to the running backs, like, with receivers out and nobody else out blocking for him, and they were getting nothing. And he just kept doing it, and instead of pushing down the field a little more, and that's what I think was a little frustrating, that the defense could just kind of play up on Retzlaff and instead of having to back off and get a little more room, which also affected the running game. That was what was driving me crazy.
It's a fair point. I don't think Jake saw the field well against SMU. There were, on that interception that Spencer just referenced, Mitch, Keanu Hill had leaked out on as a hot option with the blitz, nowhere to be found. A good quarterback would see that blitz coming in and just gently dump over the blitzer to Keanu Hill for 8 to 10 yards. And Jake didn't see that, it's really concerning, Mitch, that Jake looked so improved in week 1 and then looked like he regressed so dramatically in week 2.
And you just wonder if it was leveling up to Power 4 competition, because SMU, even though I don't think they're going to be much after watching them, I'm not taking away from BYU's win. I think that was a good win for BYU, but I really am not sold on SMU being much more than at best 6-win football team. But that is concerning. And Jake, he's got to take care of the football. This was Kalani Sitake earlier today on needing to take care of the football, that being Jake Retzlaff.
No, there's no one-offs. Take care of the stinking football. That's what it comes down to. I've said it over and over and over again. I don't want guys to have to play tight and feel like they can't take a chance, but that the football belongs to everybody. It belongs to the fans. It belongs to the team. It belongs to the program. It's not just that one player's. It's not his ball.
Strong commentary from Kalani, and I just hope that passion and that fire will translate to a change that maybe he'll have to make if Jake cannot continue to take care of the football.
It would be interesting to see what it would honestly take to get to, or not to get, but to for BYU to move from Jake in a game. And again, it's not a conversation of permanently bench him. It's just in a game, what would have to happen, to make a switch, because in that SMU game, just an isolated deal, there was a case to be made that he probably needed to be benched in that game. And then this week, still give him the chance to be QB1.
Right.
Have him compete. I just think, again, there's nothing wrong with having a change. It doesn't rattle the psyche. Like Jake Retzlaff, he's been through everything. He was out of college, and then after 2 days, his transcripts bow out, and he has to leave. Like, he's been through adversity. No one's thought he's going to amount to anything in college football. He's here. He's defied the odds. The guy's going to be a fighter. And almost like he does better when adversity is up against him. And I'm curious to see how he responds this week, because I have a feeling that he's going to respond with a much improved performance because, one, Wyoming's not good, and two, that I just think that adversity, he gets fueled by that. He's one of those guys that almost thrives when people say you can't do it. And I'm curious to see how Jake responds this week in Laramie.
Linda, let's go out to the phone line. Linda, 801-575-8255. What do you think of Jake Retzloff, and what does he need to do this week to restore some confidence?
I think he needs to be given another chance to play and see what he can do. And I think that I really, my heart went out to him when I saw that Deep Blue or listened to it on the coach's show on Tuesday night. It was really, if those colleges hadn't turned him down, he wouldn't be at BYU. And I'm glad that he's there. And I think, and then if he doesn't play very well, then put Bohannon in and see how he does. And then if Jake thinks he can do a better job, then he can go back again.
Thanks for the call, Linda. Appreciate it. I think there is an important thing to be said here, and you kind of touched on it. Jake is a good guy. Like, I like rooting for Jake. I like talking to Jake. I want Jake to succeed. There needs to be prolonged consistency of improved football from Jake Retzloff for this team to exceed those preseason expectations.
Yeah, it's got to be more than just one game against an FCS team to make Cougar fans feel good about the health of this quarterback position, because I'm telling you, Matt, it feels like this team's defense is finding itself. And if you can get it right at quarterback, this team's got the ability to maybe surprise a lot of people and be a factor in a wide-open Big 12, because I'm watching this league, and K-State looked beatable at times. Tulane had them on the ropes. Oklahoma State was down and out against Arkansas. I mean, these teams can be taken down in this Big 12. We know this. This Big 12, when you think you know something, like, anything can happen. This conference creates wild outcomes. So we shall see what happens. So it's an important week for Jake and this offense to get right, because Cougar Nation will not be happy if they struggle against a bad Wyoming team that has losses to Idaho and was destroyed by Arizona State. So they got to get right this week.
Let's get to our helmet stickers from the win, sponsored by Central Bank.
Cougar Nation helmet stickers. Mitch and Matt dish out the stickers for BYU's best players this week.
I'll start things off, Matt. You know what? I'll go with Tanner Wall. Tanner Wall has been playing some great football. He was in the top 3 of total snaps for BYU during that 18-15 win over SMU. He is a guy that just does everything that Jay Hill asks of him, and Tanner Wall just makes the right decisions, and he was a factor on special teams in that win over SMU. I got to give props to Tanner Wall, who just quietly continues to play at a high level.
His open field tackling has been money, because that's been a problem for a lot of college teams and problems for BYU in previous years. Open field tackling, he had some great open field tackles that eliminated big plays. I like that pick a lot. For me, Jacob Robinson, he has been as advertised this season. His IQ is off the charts. His knowledge and just quick reaction to jump on that fumble, if you want to boil the game down to one play, it's that play. Because SMU was going to run in for what should have been a touchdown after a really tough turnover, and he hops on that thing and swings the momentum. Jacob Robinson has been awesome. I don't think there's a better defensive back in the Big 12
and
right now.
How impressive, too, on that play, how impressive was it the refs actually had the courage to overturn it? It was
Good
clear.
point.
But
it was
typically it's like, was it conclusive
Who
enough?
was that ref that ref analyst on ESPN? He was like, I don't know. I'm like,
I replayed the game
clear
on Saturday, and I'm thinking, dude, like it was pretty clear. I mean, I'm glad that the refs actually called that because it did feel clear. But yeah, Jacob Robinson's been a stud. I also got Caleb Etienne and Jack Kelly as my other helmet stickers.
Etienne, one of the highest graded tackles through the first 2 weeks, probably one of the most improved players in all of college football. Mark Collins, that interception, he's done a nice job opposite of Jacob Robinson. And then Miles Davis coming in cold.
The Jazz Man!
Making a big play. I'm looking forward to see what he can do this week against Wyoming.
Let's take a break. On the other side, we'll get to more of your calls, so stand by if you're on hold, 801-575-8255. It's Cougar Nation on KSL News Radio.
6:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Maria Chaleos. KSL's top story this hour. Another round of wildfire smoke is coming to the valleys later this week, and with it, some fall weather.
KSL meteorologist Matt Johnson says an Alaskan cold front is going to take us from the 90s on Wednesday to the low 70s on Thursday while bringing in more smoke from fires to the north.
The thickest of it Thursday, Friday, and then it's going to start to kind of like dissipate out Saturday, Sunday, but still here, not blue skies, but it's also not nasty, crazy, heavy smoke.
Matt says it's a little too early to tell how much the air quality will deteriorate or exactly when the smoke will fully move out. Highs are expected to jump back into the 80s this weekend, and on the bright side, Matt says this cold front will bury whatever chance we had left of hitting 100 degrees again this year. Adam Small, KSL News Radio.
Our top national story this hour from ABC News. We're getting our first look at what former President Trump may be focused on tomorrow during the debate.
Former President Trump's surrogates joined a call by the Trump campaign and the RNC to discuss the highly consequential debate tomorrow night. Trump's team said the former president's opponent, Vice President Kamala Harris, will have to defend her record on issues like immigration and crime. In discussing Trump's verbal plan of attack, the campaign's senior advisor Jason Miller said he expects there will be some, quote, surprises during the debate tomorrow, although he did not elaborate. While Trump meets with policy advisors, Harris is prepping more traditionally in Pittsburgh. M. Wynn, ABC News, Washington.
You will hear that debate tomorrow night at 7 right here on KSL News Radio. Coming up, we'll tell you when those cooler temperatures will arrive. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 6:32.
This is Todd Frayton's heart. He's begun his wellness journey. This is its sound on a treadmill, at a slight incline, on a stroll through the forest. And this is the heart of Maria Sanchez, his physician. What's it doing here? A lot, actually, because when we partner with you, we don't just offer a strategic plan and status updates. We put our hearts into it, beat for beat. We call it the power of we, Intermountain Health.
Hi, this is Doug Wright. The other night, Dee and I saw one of the very first performances of the Addams Family at Hale Center Theater. As we were walking out after the performance on the Jewel Box stage, Dee said, "This is my favorite performance so far on that stage at Hale Center Theater," and that is saying something. This is the story primarily of little Wednesday. She is not so little anymore. She's grown up, and she wants to marry a normal person. And bringing these two families together is really something, to say the least. One of my favorite scenes, Wednesday is agonizing over whether or not this is actually going to work. And she sings a song called Pulled, which is wonderful. But what's even more wonderful is she is joyfully torturing Pugsley all that time. There are production numbers, even great scenes for Lurch and Thing. Don't miss the Addams Family at Hale Center Theater, and so much more is still to come. Season tickets for next year, great performances this year. Go to hct.org for your tickets.
For over 133 years, Central Bank has been a cornerstone of Utah County, providing generations of families and businesses with trusted community banking services, and are more than just a bank. Central Bank is part of Utah's legacy. With 12 convenient locations across Utah County, Central Bank combines the strength of traditional customer service with the convenience of modern technology. Customized one-to-one service means you're never just another account number, and your phone call actually rings to a real person.
Hi there, thanks for calling Central Bank.
Voted best bank and best mortgage in Utah Valley, Central Bank is here to help you with all your financial needs. From top SBA lending services for small businesses and quick turnaround times on construction loans, they're dedicated to helping you build your future. Whether you're cheering for the Cougars or building your dream home, trust the bank that's been here since the beginning. Central Bank. Strong, local, secure since 1891. Online at cbutah.com or any of 12 Utah County locations. Central Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
In 2024, dating is a disaster. We've been ghosted, breadcrumbed, stuck in situationships. Hi, I'm Debbie. I'm Caitlin. Welcome to our new podcast, Dating at Her Age. Dating has been so dicey for us, we asked KSL, can we launch an all-new podcast about it?
People use these dating apps. You're not really dating when you're on the dating app.
Dating at Her Age, brought to you by Mountain Home Services. A new episode drops every Thursday on KSLNewsRadio.com.
Pumpkin spice, anyone? Autumn can mean tasty lattes, sure, but also BYU football, colder weather, and how about a little presidential election?
Rock the vote!
For all the spice you need this fall. Start with Tim and Amanda, mornings from 5 to 9. Then David DeGenovic, Boyd Matheson, and Jeff Kaplan's afternoon news as you drive home. Coming this fall on KSL News Radio.
Traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by Sinclair's Dino Pay app. Save up to 20 cents per gallon. Here's Michelle Rowe.
We have a new crash with possible injuries. Southbound I-215's westbound at California Avenue off to the right. Southbound I-15 still packed in from Midvale down to Draper around 146 South. And construction delays northbound Highway 40 just north of SR 248 Kearns Boulevard. I'm Michelle Rowe in the KSL Traffic Center.
Expect 90s for highs the next couple of days, and on Thursday, the temperature dropping 20 degrees, a high of 72, a 30% chance of showers tomorrow and Thursday. 90 degrees at KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM, 1160 AM, KSLNewsRadio.com, Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Be ready for BYU Game Day. Download the KSL News Radio app to stream BYU games, plus breaking news during the week. That's the app for KSL News Radio.
Welcome back in, Cougar Nation. Taking your calls up until 7 p.m., 801-575-8255. Let's get back out to the phone line before we get into what's trending. Jeremy, from where I live, my beloved Vineyard, Utah. I love that place. Jeremy?
It's a great place.
Oh, it's fantastic down there, man. It's a nice little hidden gem in Utah County. Love it.
Absolutely.
What does Jake got to do this week against Wyoming to make you feel good about him going forward?
Well, can we really learn anything from a lesser competition? We might not. You know, Wyoming is suspect at best, and so he might have a really good showing this week, but are we going to learn anything? Because, you know, we're not really up-leveling the competition. I think the big test will be Kansas State in a couple of weeks. My challenge right now is he going to be like he was last week where he put together a great drive, but then it really kind of flipped when he had that fumble. Everything after that fumble, it seemed like he was rattled. So where's his head at? Where's his head going to be at? Can the coaching staff talk to him about, you know, staying composed in a situation? Because it really seemed like everything was clicking up until that first fumble on that blown, you know, pass, running back, you know, just missed from that point on. It seemed like he was rattled from that point forward. And so, yeah, we may not learn anything except he's really good against lesser competition. I think the real test will be Kansas State, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Thanks for the call, Jeremy. I think that, you know, Jake has got to be, you know, live to play another down. Take the sack if you need to. You know, even Kalani said today that they've had drives where they recover from sacks. It happens. You know, you don't want to take a sack late in a game if the game's on the line and you need to make a play. But in those moments where he did, you know, he's trying to make a play, take the sack, live to see another down, live to kick too. Like, end every drive with a punt, a field goal attempt, a PAT, end every drive with a kick. And if you do that, you're going to be okay. I mean, I just think BYU will be a team that can be in position to win a lot of ball games and pull some upsets this year if they just take care of the football. I almost took for granted the ball security ability of Zach Wilson, his final year in 2020, and Jaron Hall, his 2 years as the starter. You kind of take that for granted because, man, and even Keaton Slovis was pretty good too, BYU had a string of great quarterback play of just taking care of the ball. This has kind of been like shaking the core of Cougar fans. They haven't been used to this in a while.
I do disagree with my brother from Vineyard on what can be learned against Wyoming. A lot can be learned. We talked about this a lot in 2020. Yeah, the schedule was light, but are you going to dominate these teams and show that you are much better?
Yeah.
That's how I feel about Wyoming.
And it's on the road.
And it's
So
on the road.
If you can win on the road, and I know that BYU's going to be a big favorite, 8, 10 points, whatever it is. Like you win on the road, I don't care who it is, and just take care of business and handle your business and take care of the football. Yeah, I think that could definitely be progress from SMU. Absolutely.
If he puts up Southern Illinois numbers with no turnovers, that is you're learning that you can bounce back from adversity and handle business. Now, of course, you do need to see that level of play against a higher quality opponent, but I think we can learn something against Wyoming from Jake Retzlaff.
I agree. And look, the fear of a game like Wyoming this week is that their back is completely against the wall. And look, they're not a good football team, and I think BYU is going to win comfortably in this game. Kind of spoiler there. That's how I feel. I don't see anything drastically changing that. But if BYU just does that and backs that up, and Jake performs well and doesn't cough up the football, that is progress. Because look, we all understand the situation with this quarterback unit. It's not ideal. It's not. It's near the. It's not one of the better quarterback units in the Big 12. It's just not. I know Jake was motivated by that PFF graphic of him being ranked 16th, and I could disagree that maybe he's not 16th, but the performance he had at SMU, that was the 16th best quarterback in the Big 12. He backed up PFF on last Friday. So he's got a chance to prove him wrong, and let's see what he does this week. And if he does take care of the football and put up some big numbers through the air, which they are going to need because the ground attack is going to be shorthanded this week.
Let's get back out to the phone line. Marcus in West Jordan. What do you make of Jake Retzlaff, and can he restore some faith in your eyes as quarterback number 1 this week against Wyoming?
Yeah, I certainly hope so. I think it's a situational football where he seems to be kind of reckless with the football and making those, last-second decisions, which all quarterback play is really kind of quick decision-making. But Wyoming, as you pointed out, is an inferior team this week. But since they're going to play at that, nothing to lose mentality, I'm expecting them to throw some blitzes, some packages that will put him in some adverse situations. And with a linebacker on his back and not a lot of space in the pocket, I want to see that he's going to throw the ball away or get the ball quickly out to the side to get him out to the running back or an easier pass play, something quick and easy. And hopefully Aaron Roderick, of course, will design some escape passes or some quick things for him to do. But yeah, just don't want to see him throw those nasty interceptions.
Great call. Thank you, Marcus. A text from 9831. You can text us as well if you don't want to call in, 575-00. Typical BYU on the win. Great defense, bad offense. I don't know if that's typical BYU. I would say maybe it's the other way would be typical BYU. But terrible in-game adjustment, says this texter. Players not ready to go, sloppy play. I don't agree with a lot of that except for maybe the in-game adjustments. I felt like maybe once LJ went out, there needed to be a little shift in what you were trying to do. LJ was having some success there, and when he went down, could there have been more of the quick passing game, which we didn't see a lot of, but I like that call from Marcus Mitch where, yes, Wyoming is bad. We don't need to keep beating a dead horse. They're not a good football team.
We don't need to tell Cougar Nation, like, hey, be afraid of these guys. BYU better play their best football. Like, we understand that, but, like, at the end of the day, BYU should take care of business and roll. They should.
But I like those situations. On a third down, make the right read. On a blitz, pick it up and get the ball out hot. That would be improvement for Jake Retzlaff. Another text, 9489. No turnovers from Jake. 250 passing yards, 2 TDs. Even then, against Wyoming, it's not going to change much public opinion. He has 6 games of average to mediocre play, which is fair. But, again, I do think there is an opportunity here against Wyoming to show improvement for Jake.
I like this text, too, 4888, and I agree with this. The offense has to have more explosive plays and take a deep shot every quarter. That is Jake's bread and butter. Like, cater to that and go take some deep shots. The guy wants to.
Yep.
He's got to be smart about it. And to Marcus's point, if it's not there, throw it away. But take the deep shots. That's where he had success, and he acknowledged in week 1 he was having fun with those deep shots. He had 8 explosive plays in that win over Southern Illinois. I'd like to see that too. Texter from 5781, at this point, with half a season worth of game under his belt, it would be foolish for anyone, including coaches, to expect anything different from him. This is who he is. He will turn the ball over. Book it. And you know what? That is the fear.
That is the fear.
That is the fear that he is just who he is.
Can I play devil's advocate, though? He started 6 games, okay? This isn't a guy who started 2 seasons worth of football and has turned it over twice.
But he's played a lot of Big 12 competition and good. The only great game was against an FCS team.
That's fair.
Against Power 4s, he's struggling.
Had one great game in 6, and that is a fair point. I'm just saying, in some respects, we're acting like this is his second year as a starting quarterback. He hasn't even started half of a college football season.
You get JUCO guys because they've got experience after high school. So, and he put up massive numbers. That's what's crazy. There's like this disconnect here where maybe it's just an indictment on JUCO football, because JUCO football is not what it once was, say, when Sark was coming out, in the 90s. But, I mean, he was putting up record-setting passing numbers. Passing, Jake was, in the JUCO ranks. And he rewrote the record books at Riverside, CC. And that's where it's like, where's that? Was it just kind of
But is that – I would push back on that a little bit, saying I think some of that is Aaron Roderick. I haven't loved the way Aaron Roderick has called the offense last year or this year. Yeah. So – we've never seen an up-tempo, 2-minute, 4 and 5 wide set straight pass with Jake, and that's probably his strength. So I think Aaron Roderick's got to find a way to use this guy right, too. And I don't know if he has up to this point.
And I feel like a segment of Cougar Nation does feel like it's just who he is, and Aaron Roderick's just going to be who he is. And they're like,
well, if that's the case, then we are going to keep seeing the same stuff.
But that's what I think makes fans a little bit more willing right now, even after just week 2 and a win. Like, let's see what Gary's got. And then, look, there was a case to be made at the beginning of the third quarter after that pick, where it would have been easy to say, Gary, here you go. Here's your chance. And look, if Gary goes in and it's a mess, hey, feel free to go back to Jake.
Right.
And then maybe come November, we're seeing the McKay Hillstead show. I don't know. We'll see. We'll figure this out. It's a week by week thing, man. But like,
this is not where you want to be. Can I just make this abundantly clear? We cannot operate for the rest of BYU football as week-to-week quarterback
BYU
play.
needs to get some home runs in the high school recruiting ranks. Helaman Kasaga, 2026 kid at Corner Canyon. Ryder Lyons, who took an unofficial 5-star to that Southern Illinois game. You got to get dudes like that.
Yes.
You got to revive the high school recruiting, because banking on transfers to come save the position is not working. You got to get some homegrown dudes that are signing from the high school ranks, and you keep them and you maintain them and you deliver them, and they're high-level 4-star, 5-star prospects. Say what you want about recruiting rankings, but the best teams are killing it on the recruiting trail with the stars. Like, that's just what it is, and you got to get at some of those. And BYU, just the last 3 cycles, has not. They once upon a time, for a brief moment, had Jackson Dart as a commit. Imagine the world right now with Jackson Dart at BYU. I don't want to go down that path, because then I might get a little sad. But they got to do a better job of recruiting high school, and I think some of this will be better. But you know what? I'm holding out hope that Jake will get better, because I do believe he has gotten somewhat better from last season. His knowledge of the offense clearly is better than last year. But now it's got to execute, and the decision-making, I think, has got to clearly improve.
Let's take a break. Central Bank, 133 years of trusted banking service, modern technology, and fast lending decisions. Back after this.
More than 50 million Americans suffer from a form of mental illness, and Utah isn't immune.
With nearly 1 in 3 people dealing with anxiety, depression, or some other form of mental illness.
But there's hope. We can all take action to keep ourselves and our loved ones safe. KSL has teamed with 988 Utah, the free suicide and crisis lifeline, to bring you hope and help you thrive.
If you or a loved one is experiencing a mental health crisis, call or text 988.
Because a healthy mind matters.
The Utah RV Super Show, the premier RV event of the year, is back at the Mountain America Expo Center, Thursday, September 12th through Sunday, September 15th. Come see new 2025 models and special closeout pricing on all 2024 models. Bring a can of food for the Utah Food Bank and get $1 off per can, up to half off adult admission. Unplug from distractions and plug in to your family at the Utah RV Super Show. Discount passes at UtahRVSupershow.com.
September has come and fall is here. Make this new season the time when those extra pounds and inches fall off of you. Soda Weight Loss will assist you without drugs, without injections, without side effects, or the return of those pounds once you stop taking the medication. My fall with Soda Weight Loss was 37 pounds, falling away in 90 days. I'm over 2.5 years into my journey, still 37 pounds down. I've never felt better. The results don't lie. The difference will surprise and amaze you. So let a Soda Weight Loss dietitian help you get ready for the winter holiday season by using the fall season to get the pounds and inches to fall off of you and to become a better, healthier version of you. As I always say, when it comes to your Soda Weight Loss journey, there is no time to lose, especially in this season, only time to win. So start winning today. Your healthy tomorrow starts today. Make the decision that will change every day for the rest of your life. State-of-the-art weight loss. Start it today at sotaweightloss.com.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues?
Who are you?
Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Have you heard you can listen to your favorite news podcasts ad-free? Good news! With Amazon Music, you have access to the largest catalog of ad-free top podcasts included with your Prime membership. Enjoy shows like The Daily, Up First, and Consider This, available ad-free on Amazon Music. To start listening, download the Amazon Music app for free or go to amazon.com/ad-free. That's amazon.com/ad-free to catch up on the latest episodes without the ads.
Getting help with plumbing repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Cougar fans, use this radio station tomorrow morning for important news updates. Listen to Utah's most important radio station tomorrow morning from 5 to 9 on KSL News Radio.
Cougar Nation! Hope all of you are having a fantastic Monday evening. Mitch Harper, Matt Baiamonte
It's
with
been
you.
a crazy Monday, Mitch. We had new iPhones, new Apple Watches, a 100th birthday for President Nelson of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and R.I.P. to James Earl Jones, the voice of Darth Vader. I made sure to watch some clips today in honor of James Earl Jones and respect his great work as the best villain in cinema.
Yes.
It's been a crazy Monday.
It has been, and it's only gotten better, though, with Cougar Nation. These phone calls have been great. If you want to get in on board with the show, 801-575-8255. Weigh in on your thoughts on the quarterback situation. Also, this game coming up on Saturday, and it's sponsored by Central Bank, Cougar Nation is. 801-575-8255. BYU and Wyoming. Saturday, brace yourselves, in Laramie. Who would have thought we'd be saying that in 2024? Cougars are going to go to Laramie for the first time in 15 years. Kickoff at 7. Pregame starts at 7 or 5. We will get coverage started with Cougar Sports Saturday at noon. This game, BYU 2-0, Wyoming 0-2, off on the heels of a loss to Idaho. Wyoming's not good. And, we're kind of harping on the quarterback situation with Jake after a win. Wyoming, they got a quarterback in Evan Sabota who has just been bad, historically bad. Former Snow College transfer. He is struggling mightily. And Wyoming, their back's against the wall, and it feels like they got to find a way to do something to maybe inspire hope and belief that they might be competitive in the Mountain West. They're looking down and out right now.
Despite that, Mitch, are you buying what Kalani's selling?
We see the film. We know the situation that they're stuck in right now and that they're going through some adversity, but that's when you're going to get their best.
I do believe that because this opponent, the logo on BYU's helmet, will inspire that fan base. I went to Mountain West Media Day in July, and I was talking with some of the Wyoming media. They were saying that Wyoming fans are telling these Wyoming players, hey, who cares about the border war? beat BYU. And the Border Wars, their rivalry with Colorado State, like beat BYU.
Wow.
So this is one of those games where, okay, yeah, you go 1-11, but hey, we beat BYU because it's the last time I hope and pray that BYU is ever going to play in Laramie again. Like they better not be going through the turnstiles at Laramie ever again, Matt. So this better be the last one. And if it's the last visit, well, Wyoming fans are going to be inspired, and you got to think their team is going to play a little extra inspiration. Now, this is not a case of, oh, they've been holding back the playbook for BYU. No, they're just struggling mightily. But no, I do believe Kalani's sentiment that they could maybe rise up for a game. That's just college football, though, in general.
Yeah.
You got 85 scholarship guys. I mean, you get a scholarship in FBS level football, you're a talented football player. And when you go on the road, too, anything can happen, but BYU is the clear-cut better team. They just got to take care of business and look and feel and act like they're the better team.
I do like that they're playing this road game after having been through some adversity on the road. For them to have to overcome 3 turnovers, put together a game-winning drive, have a defensive stand. We have not spent enough time talking about that defensive stand where you had double spies. That Jack Kelly was shooting out of that linebacker position like a cannon. They deserve some credit for what they were able to do in Dallas on the road. That gives me some hope, but they will be shorthanded, Mitch. The running back room has taken some injuries. Here's an update on L.J. Martin and Hinckley Ropati and their availability this Saturday night.
Had some guys get banged up in the game. That happens. But as of now, looks like it's doubtful for L.J. Martin and Hinckley Ropati.
Does that concern you?
It does, because Miles Davis and Enoch Nawahine are next in line, and they haven't shown much in their BYU careers. They gave you some highlight plays last week in relief, but Miles Davis, to his credit, though, he did have a 131-yard performance 2 years ago against Wyoming, but still, LJ's the star, and you don't now have a star running back, and we've heard so much about the importance of this offense. Number one priority is going to be the ground attack, and you just don't have a feature back. And I think that's a little bit worrisome, but I think BYU can get by. And then you have Pokayawa Honga, you've got Sione Aimoa, maybe Javesa Damuni dresses and emerges on the travel roster as well, just in case if you have to dig farther into the depth. But
if you have to dig that far, you just need to go straight up, 4 wide, shotgun,
right.
Pass the ball.
But L.J. Martin, it looked like it was an ankle injury in Dallas. And the thing is, on the sideline, I was watching him closely, and he barely could move. And then when he's ending up on crutches at leaving the stadium, it doesn't surprise me that it's a doubtful situation. I will say this, the saving grace for Hinckley, Folau Ropati, we talked to him in the spring about this scenario. Him and his wife are expecting their first child. On September 14th, I believe, is the due date, which is game day. And he was a little bit worried. He's like, I hope it's on Sunday. If there's a week to miss for injury, it's this one. So hopefully Folau Hinckley can just be there with his wife, and they can have that moment together. But it is a little bit concerning and something of note. But on the flip side, Wyoming, they're without their top running back too. They're tight end. So they've got some injury issues as well. And so BYU's just got to bounce back. And look, it could be a great story if Enoch and Miles Davis give you some high-level production that makes you feel a little bit more confident about the depth going forward into Big 12 play.
On the note of Miles Davis, texter 4469, let's hope BYU gets the same type of game from Miles Davis against Wyoming like he did back in 2022.
He was great in 2022. Remember, that was a slow-starting game against Wyoming. BYU was nationally ranked.
Way closer than I thought it was going to be.
It felt really close, and Miles Davis was a big spark in that game. And, he put it over the top where BYU pulled away from Wyoming, and Wyoming's head coach said that in that locker room, it was Craig Bohl, the Wyoming head coach then. Craig Bohl turned to Jay Sovol and said, "It's a shame, we're not going to have these guys in Laramie. They're going to buy out." Well, they didn't. Tom Homo kept that
there either.
Tom Homo kept this bad boy on the schedule, and BYU's back in Laramie. What is Lavelle thinking up above right now?
He's probably loving it.
He said he'd rather lose and live in Provo than.
You think Lavelle would have liked what college football has become?
Oh no, I'm assuming no. But I don't think he'd like seeing BYU in Laramie again.
I actually don't hate the matchup as much as you do.
I look,
because it's kind of fun. It's nostalgic. It incites emotions, and it's not going to matter about the college football playoff. It plays no bearance on the college football playoff.
If BYU lost this game, Matt, I don't want to. I'd be afraid of next Monday on this show. The phone lines would be on fire. If BYU lost to Wyoming,
it wouldn't matter in terms of access to the playoff.
That is true.
That's what I'm trying to make, is that we can have some more fun non-conference games.
If you lose to Wyoming, man, you're not winning many more. That's just all I'm saying. Hey, this has been a lot of fun tonight. Appreciate you, Matt. Appreciate our producer, Nate Slack, intern, Allie Braithwaite, and we'll talk to you next week here on Cougar Nation, here on KSL News Radio.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.